Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Smart English Practice 24, where learning English is easy and fun. I am Rana. In a small village beside a peaceful town, there lived a man named Rashid. The village was called Shalban. It was surrounded by green fields, rivers, and beautiful trees. In the evening, birds sang sweet songs, and the cool wind touched everyone's hearts. The village looked full of peace, but one man could never find peace in his life. That man was Rashid. Rashid was about 30 years old. When he was young, he was cheerful and full of dreams. But as he grew older, a strange sadness slowly entered his mind. He always felt that something was missing in his life. Rashid had a small shop in the village market. He earned enough money to live a simple life. He had a loving wife named Neela and a little son named Riyadh. Even though he had a family who loved him, he was never satisfied. Whenever he saw someone with a big house, he felt jealous. When another person bought a motorcycle or expensive clothes, he became unhappy. He often thought, "Why do others have so much while I have so little?" One evening, after closing his shop, Rashid was walking home. The sun was slowly setting in the red sky. Beside the road, he noticed an old man sitting quietly with a stick in his hand. The old man wore old clothes and carried a small bag, but surprisingly, he was smiling happily to himself. Rashid became curious and asked, "Uncle, why are you smiling so much?" The old man looked at him gently and replied, "Because I am happy, my son." Rashid was surprised. He said, "You do not seem to have much money or comfort. Still, you are happy." The old man smiled softly and answered, "Happiness cannot be measured by money. Happiness lives inside the heart." Rashid laughed politely and continued walking. In his mind, he thought, "These are just words. Nobody can be happy without money." A few days later, a rich businessman in the village built a huge new house. Everyone in the village talked about it. When Rashid saw the beautiful building, he became even more upset. That night, he did not even feel like eating dinner. Neela noticed his sadness and said, "Why do you worry so much? We already have enough to live peacefully." Rashid replied with frustration, "You do not understand. I have achieved nothing in life." Neela became silent. She knew that Rashid's real problem was not poverty, but the unrest inside his mind. One day, a schoolteacher came to Rashid's shop. The teacher was a very simple man, but he was always cheerful. Rashid asked him, "Sir, how do you stay so happy all the time?" The teacher smiled and replied, "Every day, I thank Allah for what I already have. That keeps my heart peaceful." Rashid asked again, "Can gratitude alone make a person happy?" The teacher answered, "To be truly happy, a person needs three things: gratitude, love, and a heart that helps others." The words stayed in Rashid's mind, though he still could not fully believe them. A few weeks later, Rashid's little son Riyadh suddenly became very sick. Rashid had to take him to a hospital in the city. He became extremely worried. After examining the child, the doctor said, "There is nothing to fear. With proper treatment, your son will recover soon." While sitting in the hospital, Rashid observed many people around him. Some were suffering from serious diseases. Some could not afford treatment. One father was crying for his child. An old woman sat alone with nobody beside her. At that moment, Rashid slowly began to think about his own life. He had a wife who loved him, a son who smiled when he came home, food to eat, and a roof over his head. Then why had he been so unhappy all these years? That night, while standing alone in the hospital corridor, he suddenly remembered the old man's words. Happiness lives inside the heart. After a few days, Riyadh became healthy again and returned home. From that moment, Rashid started seeing life differently. In the morning, his son's smile made him happy. When Neela served him tea, he thanked her warmly. At the shop, He greeted customers with kindness and patience. One day in the market, he saw an elderly woman struggling to carry a heavy bag. Before, he might have ignored her, but this time he walked toward her and carried the bag to her house. The old woman smiled with gratitude and said, "May Allah keep you happy, my son." Hearing those simple words filled Rashid's heart with peace. Slowly, he began helping people more often. Sometimes he bought books for poor students. Sometimes he brought medicine for sick neighbors. Surprisingly, every time he helped someone, he felt lighter and calmer inside. One evening, Neela looked at him and said, "You have changed a lot." Rashid smiled gently and replied, "Maybe before, I was searching for happiness in the wrong places." Neela asked softly, "Where do you find happiness now?" Rashid answered slowly, "In the love of family, in people's smiles, and in peaceful little moments." Days passed, and Rashid's shop also started doing better. People liked him because he treated everyone kindly. Customers felt comfortable talking to him. One Friday, the imam of the village mosque said during his speech, "A person who always compares his life with others can never be truly happy. But a person who remains grateful can live peacefully even with little." Rashid quietly thought to himself, "That is absolutely true." One afternoon, he was walking beside the river. White flowers danced in the wind, and birds flew across the sky. Suddenly, he realized that happiness was never something distant or impossible. It had always been around him, in nature, in family, and in human kindness. At that moment, he saw the old man again, sitting beside the river and looking at the sky. Rashid walked toward him and said, "Uncle, today I finally understand what you meant that day." The old man smiled warmly and asked, "What have you understood, my son?" Rashid replied, "Happiness is not found in money or big houses. Happiness is peace inside the heart." The old man nodded slowly and said, "You are right. The person with less greed and more gratitude is the truly happy person." Rashid sat beside him quietly for a long time. The sunlight reflected beautifully on the river water. For the first time in many years, he felt completely peaceful. After that day, Rashid never complained about his life again. He worked hard, spent time with his family, helped people, and enjoyed the small blessings around him. Years later, the villagers respected him greatly, not only because he was successful in business, but because he had become a truly good human being. One day, a young man asked him, "Brother, what is the secret to happiness in life?" Rashid smiled and replied, "Always remember three things. Be grateful for what you have, love your family and people around you, and help others whenever you can. Then happiness will stay close to your heart." The young man listened carefully. That evening, when Rashid returned home, his son ran toward him and hugged him tightly. Neela stood at the door, smiling softly. Above them, the moonlight spread peacefully across the sky. Rashid looked at his family and thought quietly, "Happiness is not far away. It lives in these small, beautiful moments of life." And from that day on, Rashid became a truly happy man.